Welcome to the podcast of the Political Page blog with commentary from an attorney and entrepreneur on the political and social issues of the day, from a rationalist, libertarian, and often irreverent perspective. This is Political Page, and here's what's on my mind today. Welcome back to the podcast for April 13th, 2019. It's another great day. This blog is entitled Pure Hilarious Political Genius. Grab the popcorn and take a seat. The Donald is at work. And somewhere deep down, you know you like it. If you are a conservative, you're familiar with the enervating sensation of watching this unmitigated PC idiocy stream across your screens, and you wait in vain, believe me, it's in vain, for the people we elect to theoretically represent us to call bullshit. Most of our politicians respond to even the most fatuous cretinism from the left with mealy-mouthed platitudes. One of my favorites is this one: "My friends across the aisle are mistaken." My friends across the aisle. Seriously? What we in flyover country have wanted to say to you for decades is something like this. No, you craven, clueless, coddled milksop. They are not your freaking BFFs. For God's sake, stop saying that. Every single compromise you have offered has been immediately trumpeted to a complicit media as capitulation and admission that they were right all along, and it just becomes the baseline for their next ultimatum. There's no compromise with these zealots. That is a fact you continue to miss like a bunch of poleaxed imbeciles for decades, while we sit and watch you, and we steam. They never intended to compromise with you, just as the complicit media never intended to cover your erudite responses. They don't like you. They will never respect you. They never will treat you fairly. What are you waiting for? They're like the cool kids at the cafeteria table, snickering when you faceplant with your lunch tray. They play you like piano keys. They are costermongers. You are the Marks, the Rubes. You're the clueless hayseeds staring slack-jawed at the thimble-rig cups. Look it all up. Those are great words. They aren't mistaken across the aisle. They're lying. They're manipulating reality with simplistic, stupid platitudes, and it works every time. Because what lives on in the public consciousness is their original soundbite, never your response, even if it's covered. Take, for example, these gems from them recently. There's no such thing as an illegal person. Or how about this one? We're a country of immigrants. Or immigrants are just doing the jobs Americans won't do. Each one of those is vapid, it's empty, it's demonstrably erroneous. You want to hear why? It's easy. Nobody is saying that it's illegal to exist as a person, but it's illegal to sneak across our border. And yes, we are a country of immigrants, legal immigrants. Did you know that Ellis Island put 120,000 people back on the ships they came from and sent them home because they were ill or unable to self-support without government help? Sound familiar here at all? How about the fact that they will do jobs we won't do? Bull! Over 50% of the immigrant meccas of landscaping and manual labor are already filled by legal Americans. They're only too happy to have the job. The only thing that pisses them off is that they only get paid slave wages because they're competing with illegals who are used to living on $2 a day. I know this is harsh, but it's true. Do you see how long, though, it took for me to respond to each one of those handy-dandy, quick-sounding little sound bites? Our voters had the attention span of ADHD gnats, and the Democrats know it, and that's why they win. This is one of the reasons that libertarians and conservatives, and don't fool yourself, a lot of blue-collar Democrats, found themselves in 2016 tepidly walking into their precincts and quietly casting a vote for Donald Trump. Because he's crass. He's blunt. He doesn't say what you're supposed to say. But you know what? What he does say, man, that strikes a chord. And it answers decades of sitting there in front of the television set, steaming, and sometimes even shouting back at the television screen, as yet another cowardly politician squirms and simpers to avoid being painted. One thing you can say about Donald Trump is he lacks those scruples. Think about the election, right? In 2016, he called Clinton out as crooked Hillary. Well, yeah. Entire books are written about the Clinton machine. Who do you think doesn't know she's crooked? Elizabeth Warren is Pocahontas. Oh my goodness, it's so... Oh God, that's just really insensitive. Bull. She spent a lifetime career in academia as a Native American minority. She has less Native American blood in her than your average suburban housewife in Alabama. Richard Blumenthal, he calls Da Nang Dick because he faked combat experience in Vietnam. Chuck Schumer is crying Chuck. because he's a master of the crocodile tear on the floor of the Senate. And Joe Biden, he's now Creepy Joe for his weird decades-long history of, well, creeping. Say what you will about it, crudity sticks. Presidential and dignified? No, it's not. But then again, the last few Republican candidates who stuck to erudite policy wonkery amid the catchphrase attacks of their Democrat opponents ended up, you want it bluntly, as roadkill. Mitt Romney, John McCain, anyone? Politics is a hardball sport, and Democrats always knew it, and Trump knows it too. Trump does what the Democrats do, but he does it better, and it drives them crazy. And as for Republicans, the Republicans, us, the poor flyover country deplorables, we are exhausted by years of waiting for the great apolitical American masses to tune in for even a few precious moments of paying attention to policy points above the Laffer curve. And it's never happened, and it never will happen, and underneath it all, we respond to each indelicate crudity of Donald Trump with a simultaneous wince, but a furtive fist bump. Yes. Okay, most of us feign distaste, right? Especially when we're talking to pollsters or interviewers or dinner party companions in polite society. But let's admit it. Underneath, we wallow in the wonderful relief of somebody finally saying it, and we vote accordingly, which is why 2016 left the entire leftist power structure poleaxed by the results. And for 2020, the stakes are higher, and Trump is upping the game. He is doing so particularly on immigration with the help of this guy, Stephen Miller. Take a look at the blog a couple of days ago, maybe 3 or 4 days ago. We talked about Stephen Miller and his brilliant, ballsy genius behind the recent house cleaning of DHS at a point at which in March we topped 103,000 unvetted, unexamined, unqualified, and flatly illegal, quote, hopers and dreamers coming across the border with impunity in a single month. And with the apparent assistance of Mr. Miller, Donald Trump has once again sent the entire media into this frothing agony. The headlines themselves should be wearing little genital beanie hats of umbrage. Donald Trump is threatening to deliver busloads of illegal immigrants that we collect at the U.S. border routinely directly into the sanctuary cities and states, which so delight in lecturing the rest of us that we're racist, cruel, and selfish Americans because we insist on having a border. Now, he does this with such wide-eyed innocence. Everybody knows he's not innocent, but he has this look. He says very mildly, we can fix the immigration emergency so fast if the Democrats would agree. And here's his quote. I'm taking selective quotes, but you get the idea. But if they don't agree, we might as well do what they always say they want. California is certainly always saying we want more people, and they want more people in their sanctuary cities. We'll give them more people. We can give them an unlimited supply. And let's see if they're so happy. They always say they have open arms. Let's see if they have open arms. Genius. It is pure genius. You're not supposed to do this. But you know what? The sanctimonious left can hardly object when the very people that they keep telling us are nascent Washingtons and Jeffersons in the modern era are being bussed in to live happily among them. It just seemed so much more pleasant to prospect when they were in McAllen, Texas, than when they're on the ivy-clad boulevards of New Haven, Connecticut. And the sputtering reaction, the umbrage has been apoplectic and hilarious. Oh, okay, first of all, they trotted out the old chestnut of racism, but it was so tepid. I mean, how do you explain why Seattleites are objecting to putting brown people in Seattle, and that makes the person who's bringing them racist and not the Seattleites? So they kind of gave up on that one fast, and they went into some other lines of what they call reasoning. The first is that it's illegal to do this, only unfortunately for them it isn't, so that went away. The next one was that Trump shouldn't be doing this because he's using these people as pawns. And they go further by saying that the reason they're being used as pawns is because he's letting them stay in their communities as illegals instead of granting them citizenship, which I guess means they'd go live somewhere else. I don't know. A third, and this one is really weird, some of them are arguing that this, quote, and I'm quoting, smells like Watergate. You figure it out, I can't. And then there's the spending argument. These people want $93 trillion for a Green New Deal, but they're worried about buying gas for the buses. But you know what? Give them credit. The New Yorker actually is consistent. It warned journalists and Democrats that they are inadvertently, quote, validating Trump's wrong assumptions, that sanctuary cities don't value illegals, by apparently pointing out the uncomfortable reality that they're in an existential panic to stop the illegals from moving in next door. We must, it chirps, welcome them with open arms. That'll show Donald Trump with whom he is dealing. And indeed, mayors of some cities, like snooty Cambridge, Mass., Harvard, think about that, are hopping on board. They insist they will welcome as many illegals as we can bust in there. Most assuredly, at the carefully buried horror of his laughably upscale constituents. They have been hoisted on their own PC petard, and the resulting visuals are going to be endlessly satisfying and endlessly hilarious. Grab the popcorn and take a seat. The Donald is at work, and somewhere deep down, you know you like it. Thank you for tuning in to the Political Page podcast today. Original blog articles, complete with a lot more information and great links to original source material, can be found anytime on politicalpage.net. That's political, P-A-I-G-E.net.